Hey, it's Stu. It's summer and it is so absolutely beautiful outside. Um, I am excited. I'm a water girl, so I am excited in the next days to get to water, lakes, and etc. And then for my trip to get to the ocean, and yeah, the oceans. Um, this is going to be what I'm going to deem a guilt-free haul video. I don't remember starting a haul video without some kind of guilt-ridden rant and then justification. And so I'm just going to focus this one on knowing that I don't need more physical anything, and that I have a long way to go to become a minimalist, but also really continuing to experience the joy, the adoration, the gratitude I have for the amount of access to books. And I have access to books for cheap and free, through gifting, through free little libraries, through Friends of the Library sales, through thrift shops. And all of these books are quite diverse in almost every way that you can think of diversity. And I am so grateful for that. I would I've been now to, multiple states, checking out the free little libraries, etc. And, I still think I live where it's at. I continue to find all kinds of diversity, not just mass paperbacks, and we're not just, sort of supermarket dime store novel um producing high production writers, finding all sorts. So I went to a neighboring town, which is about 20 miles away, and did an urban hike with a friend yesterday. I went with that friend and they got their library card for the first time. And there was also a little friends of the library bookstore sale slash book sale there. And then I have been unhauling some of my other, some clothes and other items. Um, so I hit some thrift shops where I was also making donations. And the little free libraries are full right now. Like all of them are full. I've been trying to unhaul and being like, where am I gonna fit this book? And being really discerning about if I was going to take a book at all, what I was looking for in books. And in this haul, I was really looking for making sure I was focusing in on diversity of authors. I've noticed that even after everything that I've said, that when thrifting, little free library hunting, the representation of white female authors is quite large. Now, I'm not suggesting that any demographic or identity marker makes someone a better writer or not. That is not what I'm saying at all. I have authors that I adore across the demographics. I'm just saying that if there's a larger representation for whatever reason, sometimes I have to be a little bit more discerning or look a little bit further or wait a little bit longer to make sure that I have good representation throughout my reading selections if I'm going to continue to keep this kind of large library and read almost exclusively from it. I'm going to start, and you can decide if I sort of hit that diversity marker or not. But that's kind of what I was using to discern. Now, that is to say, I did not take a book because of any sort of what I understood the author or the setting or the character's race, ethnicity to be. I was just very conscious about making sure that there was variety. Okay, the first book, I actually thought, okay, do I want this book? Maybe yes, maybe no. The first indicator is it was the winner of the Man Booker Prize in 2011, and I haven't had super great luck with Man Booker. A couple of books I read I liked, a couple I actually really didn't like. And so I thought, that maybe that isn't the thing that tells me, please read this book. That being said, I read the little blurb and it said this is the kind of book that you feel compelled to finish in one setting. And given its size, yeah, I think I could finish it in one setting. And I like that about this book, one that I was trying to decide if I did or didn't want to. I also like these kinds of edges. That's just the kind of physical book I like to have in my hands, sort of information. In any case, Julian Barnes is the sense of an ending, from what I can understand, from what I read, is about a middle-aged man who compartmentalized and thought that he didn't have to think about the past, that he could just sort of, the past is the past, compartmentalize it, and then for a variant of reasons, the past via friends or other things keeps showing up to let him know that the past has not been left behind. And it's a really psychological, emotional endeavor into sort of middle ageism. What did it all mean? What do you do with the past? You can't bottle it up forever kind of situation. The next book also has a Man Booker Prize sticker. This was a finalist, however. So that isn't what compelled me. What did? Ashmat Dangor's Bitter Fruit is meant to be quite vulgar and quite confronting. Some people, I think, are put off by kind of that vulgarity. This is a South African author. I don't have many South African. Coetzee, I've read like 3 or 4 Coetzees in my life, but I don't think I have any South African representation right now on my shelf. And this particular story, I think deals with the aftermath of a sexual assault. This is going to be confronting in ways that I have to be ready for. But you know what it says is like how a family needs to reckon with the past. I think there's a lot I think there's some political drama going on in this book as well, which would be contemporary to South Africa at the time that it came out, which was 2001. I looked, this is not available in digital through my 2 libraries that I have access to. So when and if I read this book, it will have to be this physical copy, which kind of denotes that it's going to be on these sunshiny months. Okay, I found this at a thrift store. It was just a couple of bucks. It's in excellent condition. And I mean, do we know if it's Ove or Ove? I feel like people do. In any case, it's much talked about. I'm totally late to the game. It's like from 2012. So 3 years ago. In any case, I think that this book was super hyped. I don't even know if like the hype was what I've heard about the hype was for me, but I did see the book in excellent condition, thought I'd grab it. And this book is, from what I can tell, kind of witty, kind of cozy. And this to me then denotes kind of like a winter read. I'm sure that I'll be able to find this. Probably even need to be on hold for this in a digital or audio copy from the library. The Folded Earth by Anuranda Roy. Okay. This is her sophomore novel. I've read 1, maybe 2 things by this author. However, right off the top of my head, I'm not going to come up with them. This is historical fiction. This is set in the foothills of the Himalayas. This is about a woman, young woman, I believe, who is trying to just kind of run away from something. And if not, yeah, just make a new life, like get away, start over. She ends up in the village in the foothills of the Himalayas. So as it's marked as historical fiction, things are happening in this village or politically, historically, and this woman is gonna cross paths, as all lives do with history. This is called The Folded Earth, and I think I have which I already said, which I think that my intention is for this to be on my summer reading. Okay. This came from the Friends of the Library, and this is the book of the month. And of course, this cover is just darling. This is called The 5-Star Stranger by Kat Tang, and this is the debut. And in this, the scenario is there's someone who uses an app to be the stranger that people need. And the stranger could be like the +1, the fake fiance for the family gathering, the person who, I got an extra ticket. And that kind of a scenario. And it's exploring gig economy, it's exploring apps, it's exploring, I think in the blurb it talks about, this book explores, relationships when we're all so connected, but we're still not really like, we have these ways to be digitally connected, but not intimately connected. In any case, this seems like it's going to be very contemporary fiction, maybe not super deep, but a story that makes one think just a little bit, and presenting some ideas of modernity. It came out in 2024, so it's quite recent. And for some reason, I think this is going to be the pick that's going to just jump onto my most recent, or one of my more recent TBRs, for me to read before I take off for my summer trip. In a similar cover style, and another book of the month, we have The Black Buck by Matteo Ascaripour. And this book is about a high performer. It's contemporary fiction, a little dated now, as technology goes, right? 2021. This is super high performing salesperson, I believe, in the tech industry. The setting, I'm trying to find out, is New York. Yeah, I mean, the Empire State kind of gives that to you, right? The setting is New York, and I'm finishing up, so it could be, actually, maybe it's going to be this one, because I am still 3 or 4 books away from finishing New York as a setting, and I don't have this kind of premise represented in any of New York, the books about New York, whereas I had 2 kind of about art. So I'll tell you what, if I can find a digital version of this, I think this will be the one that jumps on, because it does fit with my current TBR. And it's sort of between the two, these are both like sort of like contemporary, exploring the tech world, the implications of the tech world, who gets in. I think it says in the blurb at the end of this, like, the reimagining of the American dream. It's a bit of a, about 350 pages. Okay. All right. I'm going to check that out. I'm glad we're talking about it. Super like the cover. Yeah. Okay. The next book. I mean, this was the find of the find of the find. Not only did I find this in a little free library. Let me tell you about this little free library. It has great books from time to time. It also has a hot mess, water damage sometimes. And it's like, I don't know who the steward is. It's like in a park. And so sometimes I go there and I find a great book like this. And then, like, if it's raining outside, I don't want to give, an equally great book. Not because of selfishness. I just don't want the book to get damaged, because sometimes the books are damaged in there. Today, I felt like I had some good trades, because this is 2025. This is extremely contemporary. This is extremely hot. However, I could never live up to, this is an autographed copy. This is not the first. In fact, I found 4 or 5 autographed copies in little free libraries, but this by far is the one that I love the most. I normally write inside where I found it. I'm not going to in this one. I'm unable to blemish it at this time, and I am sure I will let this go to the friends of the library, or back to a trusted little free library when I'm done. But it's one of those, you're like, this is a much talked about book right now. So if you're watching this video and you watch other YouTubers, you've heard about this book. I recently just hauled and then read The Secret Sun by Leila Lalami, and I really liked her writing style. I hadn't been in Morocco as a setting yet, and this Moroccan-American author is the first and only Moroccan-American author that I have on in my library or in my reading lists. So Another thing I want to say about this book, well, two more things. The first is whomever bought this book brought it from a local free independent bookstore. The sticker is still on it. And I mean, if they read it, they did not crease the binding and or make any kind of, like, when I read a book, it's known that it's been read, I guess. I'm not putting marginalia or any kind of annotations in books right now. It's not the kind of reading I'm doing. I do love to annotate, but it's just not the kind of reading I'm doing. I'm just reading voraciously, and that's what it's up. I'm also not holding on to books, so annotating them, I guess I could be doing it digitally. You can do it digitally, and I haven't found my groove on that yet, but annotating books that I plan to pass on, I don't know how I feel about that. Okay. The blurbs, the second thing I'm going to say, the blurbs on the back. I mean, like, so interconnected with what's happening right now. One is by Rumaan Alam, and I just like today finished Leave the World Behind. Oh my God, it was such a good book. And the other one is by Viet Thanh Nguyen, who I just, last week saw speak at that conference I was at, and have his books still sitting here to be filed into my library. So, I haven't even told you what this book about, because I don't know if there's a need. Like, it's speculative fiction about that your dreams are being tracked, and this woman dreams that she's going to commit a murder, and therefore she's put into a facility because thinking of the crime, or thinking about thinking of the crime is equally as guilty as committing it. And there we go, thinking about justice, thinking about technology, thinking about what all of that means in contemporary society or future societies. The next book is The Pearl That Broke Its Shell by Nadia Hashimi. This story follows two women, two timelines, different centuries, and in Afghanistan. This is an Afghani American author, and she, the thing that I really loved about the blurb of this is that The Pearl That Broke Its Shell interweaves the stories of these two remarkable women who are separated by a century but share the same courage and dreams. I was super compelled to this book. This will be my first Afghan woman plot story author, also on my bookshelf. Okay, here's where I could risk going into a little bit of a diatribe. I found at a thrift store these two, and they weren't like, thrifting. They weren't even close on the shelf. Like, they were far away. But I found these two earlier works for Julia Alvarez. I recently got from my son from a free independent bookstore, an independent bookstore, Julia Alvarez, The Cemetery of the Lost Stories. And finding these two of her earlier works was a great find. I had read How the Garcia Girls Lost Their Accents, I think, in college. And I think that's the only Julia Alvarez I've ever read. As far as what's coming to my mind now. So I have these two books. Plus I have, the one that I might never be able to give up because my son wrote a little note in it for me. And then, so now, like others, I've created almost a library, and it's such an interesting concept to think about, of like someone who like reads to on haul books. How am I gonna start feeling when I have like I wouldn't say the completed works, but Tom Robbins, I have 4 or 5. Blah, 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 blah. Yes. Michael Chabon. Like, I had to make a decision the other day there at the Friends of the Library. One of the free books was Michael Chabon. And I'm like, I should just get it. It's going to be my 4th book by him. And I was like, but I haven't read a single one. What if I don't like his style? And now I have like this complete works. So I don't feel like that about, I know that I'm going to like Julia Alvarez, but it did kind of throw me into this little conundrum of, what am I doing building like complete libraries other than you do too, right? You go and look at your books and you rearrange them and you think about how and when you want to read them. So it does look really nice, to have several authors, and especially these two matching books. So even if I'm unhauling, I couldn't help myself. I got those too. This is a little free library book. And this is All They Ask Is Everything by Hadley. I'm going to pronounce it Leggett. It could be, Leggett. This is a book about the nuances of motherhood. This is the publishing is Lake Union, and it's my third or fourth book by this publisher. I don't find these ever. The Lake Union ones, it's local. It's an affiliate, but still, I think it's a small publisher publishing local authors. And I haven't been able to find a copy of any of the Lake Union books in the libraries that I use. So I will read this, on a sunny day. This is going to be sunny summer reading, either before I leave, right when I get back, or come with me kind of thing. But I think when I come back, and here's why. This book, this is about a mother who's trying not to be like her mother, raising daughters, and then finding out that, even if you do everything completely different than what your mother did, your children might resent you for those choices as well. And I can dig it for sure, as a mother and as a soon-to-be empty nesting mother. Kind of circling back to the building the library. This is my fifth Jhumpa Lahiri book. The Interpreter of the Maladies I've read and unhauled. I gifted to a friend. I'm very confident that I will at least adore the writing style of this author through the other 4 books that I now have. But again, when you end up having 4 or 5 books, like creating a library from one author, is it the way that I'm doing books now? Is that going to work? Am I going to decide, okay, no, if I've created a library, let's keep it. Let's keep sort of the libraries of your favorite authors. Do I want to read them all at once and unhaul them all at once? Like, again, it's whatever, but thoughts happen. This is a nice, well-conditioned hardback, which I got at a thrift shop. It doesn't have any indication of ever having been read. Again, the spine has not been tweaked in any way. The pages are still kind of hard to turn. And although it looks older, kind of has that it was a library book feel, but nothing else about it. Yeah. In any case, I digress. 2021. Another excellent condition hardback I found at the same thrift store. Another repeat author I got from an independent bookstore on their bargain books, and when one was celebrating independent bookstores. I got The Last White Man by Mohsin Hamid as well, if I'm not mistaken. And this is also another, look at this cover. It's just so compelling. This is a love story. This is a romance, but this isn't going to read like a normal romance, but this is a romance, right? These are 2 lovers in volatile places in the world who want to be together, but there are going to be a lot of challenges to that. And it is my impression that Exit West means, even though it's the Western world that's creating a lot of the volatility in their lives, about which they have a whole lot of right to draw criticism, that's where they're going to have to exit to in order to either survive or maybe even thrive. The final book. I'm so excited for this book. This book also is probably going to be read soon, or maybe even one of my summer readings, because maybe end of summer. I'm clearly not taking this in a suitcase, but I think on one of the reading challenges and or bingos that I plan to do, at least kind of half-heartedly do over the summer, there's a read something uncomfortable or unfamiliar for you. And I would have one or two choices: a graphic novel, which is still on my shelf, my one and only, which really isn't my jam, and then this, which is fantasy. It's world creating fantasy. This, by the way, is by Rebecca Roanhorse. This author, I believe, yeah, it's from New Mexico. I haven't looked up tribal affiliation. New Mexico makes me think Navajo, but I'm now being speculative in ways that I shouldn't be. So I'll just leave it at, this is an author from New Mexico. I have one other. Bless mi última. Yeah. Author with the setting is New Mexico. And it's like a Hispanic, a Chicano classic. This, on the other hand, is world building. This is fantasy and world building. I'm to understand, revered and loved. And I'm super excited. Look at this. Look at this beautiful, look at the foil. It's not my jam. I understand even some of my favorite reader friends are fantasy lovers, and I can understand why. It's just never been my jam. So this is it. This would be sort of like a challenge for you, or something you wouldn't normally pick up, but didn't want to. There's one other, right, that I found recently at a friend of the library. Also fantasy world building. So I'll have two books like that now. Two. So not enough for its own shelf, but we'll see what I'm going to do with them, because both of them are very much like display books. So now I'm rambling. I've come to the end of the video. Super excited for this book. I was excited to find it. I was excited to realize, yep, this is going to be one of the ones I'm going to take home. No small amount of books. I read voraciously. So, and I know exactly where these books will go. So this is the part that I usually do at the beginning, where I make all of these justifications. Because why? I think there's 14 books here. Why would someone who doesn't need any books haul 14 and feel any kind of way but like, what was I doing about it? But here I am, another haul video, knowing that the end of them is imminent. I will... International tickets are bought, and I won't be hauling around a whole bunch of books in my little backpack. So I guess I'm enjoying it for now.